I get asked a lot, are there things I miss about working at theme parks? And would I go back and work at one again? The answer is yes and maybe. I loved my time working at theme parks. 10 years working at Busch Gardens and Disney and SeaWorld was an absolute blast. And even though it's been a few years now, there's still a lot of things I really miss about working at them. They were easily some of the best jobs I ever had. So what are some of the things that I miss? And would I go back? Would I go back is a little more complicated. But let me talk about some of the things that I miss, and maybe it'll help answer the second question. One of the things I miss a lot is the atmosphere. There's just something about a theme park that people come to a theme park or an amusement park to have fun. They're there to put a smile on their face, to have a good time. They're not coming in generally grouchy and grumpy and irritable and wanting to be ticked off. There's an occasional person like that, and, they've just got issues. Most people are there to have a great time. It makes your job so much easier when they're already wanting to be in a good mood and wanting to have fun, and hey, your job is just to help them do that. How many places are there in the world where the whole point of the business is to help people have a good time and put a smile on their face? That's cool. And it was just a wonderful motivator to have a job where that was what your purpose was. That is a cool job. But I also miss the looks and appearance of the parks. All of them were like stepping into a different world, where you could leave the regular world behind you and you stepped into this whole other realm. At Busch Gardens, we went into Africa because that's what the theme of the park was. At Disney, it was stepping into a whole different area. Maybe it was around the world. It may have been in fantasy realms and with princesses and cartoon characters. You might have been stepping back in time with the old movie studios or off into the animal kingdoms. At Silver Dollar City, you were stepping back into the 1880s in this Midwest, kind of Wild West town. For somebody like me who's a huge reader and loves fiction, it was so neat to be able to not just essentially see it come to life, but to become part of the story. Not only that, but my roles in these places was one that just fit my personality really well. In all of them, I was really kind of encouraged to be my goofy, ridiculous self at times. My weird sense of humor fit in perfectly at Busch Gardens when I was driving Rhino Rally. It was the same kind of jokes I love. Same thing at Silver Dollar City. My goofy personality fit perfectly as a train robber and conductor. And so it was awesome to have this role at this place that was just kind of out of my dreams and allowed me to be who I really kind of dreamed of being. Although that would be kind of weird to be dreaming of being a train robber. Okay, so I didn't really dream of that, but... And of course, one of the highlights of all this was the guests themselves. The guests were just so much fun. Particularly at Silver Dollar City, we had a lot of regular guests, and so you would get to know them. You did some at Disney too, but the parks were so big and the crowd so big that it was kind of rare for you to get to know a guest on a more personal basis beyond just a day or two. But Silver Dollar City, we had repeat guests who would come all the time, especially on the train. And you'd see them several times during the year, and then they would ride over and over again. You get to know them on a first-name basis. And it was just this really neat deal to be able to form these relationships and friendships with people who otherwise you wouldn't know. And then, of course, on top of that, I told people I got paid to play. Because really, with my job, that's what I was doing, was I was playing. And I got paid to do it. That was cool. Just remember to make sure I took care of the train and the guests or take pictures along the way. Then, of course, the theme park nut in me absolutely loved it, because I've loved theme parks ever since I was a kid. Love roller coasters, love thrill rides, love pretty much any ride I can get on. I mean, if there's a ride there, I'm going to go on it, even if it's one for little kids. If they'll let me on, I'll go. And so to be able to work at a theme park, which was really kind of my vacation destinations, and if I travel, I like to plan around amusement parks, and here I am working at one. That was just even better because it allowed me opportunities at the parks to kind of go behind the scenes to see how things work, which I'm fascinated by anyways, and to become a part of it. It meant that I got experiences that I wouldn't have had otherwise, like being at test dummy for an evacuation on a roller coaster. Got to do that a couple times. Got to try rides before everybody else did, which was always kind of fun. It meant sometimes that we would have other things that we got to do as employees in the parks that nobody else would get to do. We would have employee functions and get-togethers and parties. They had times when I was working in Silver Dollar City, for example, that once or twice a year they would open up Whitewater just for employees and their families. And that's the only people that were there. They'd have a big barbecue and it'd be just all friends and we'd be karaokeing and doing all sorts of other stuff. That's where that one really bad clip of me doing I've Got Friends in Low Places came from. Because it was me and the train crew doing that.
'Cause I got friends in low places.
And so being able to visit the parks anytime I wanted to, if they had festivals like the Flower and Garden Festival or the Food and Wine Festival, or all the different ones at Silver Dollar City with Christmas and the summers and the kids and the World Fest and all sorts of different things like that, I got to be able to be there and experience them. And that was just awesome. So being able to get into the park anytime was an awesome perk. And of course there were a lot of other perks that came along with it as well. I've actually done a couple other videos on them, so I'm not going to bore you with repeating that. If you want to know about those, be sure to check the videos out. There's a link in the description for you. But you do kind of get spoiled after a little while with them. I miss shopping at the Cast Connection at Disney and some of the cast sales they had. I miss kind of being able to explore parts of the park that I can't anymore. I miss, at Silver Dollar City, being able to go to the shows in Branson on a regular basis. And now I've got to pay for them, and that gets expensive in a hurry. And so you do get used to a lot of the perks and a lot of the extras that you can get with working at a park. And there's a lot of fun little privileges that way that you wouldn't otherwise get. And one of the best parts, too, is your coworkers. One of the things that happens at a theme park when you're working with people is you kind of tend to become a fairly tight-knit group. Not as much at Disney because there's 60,000 different cast members at Disney. And even our department had a bunch. But you still get to know your coworkers well. And that commonality of having the same kinds of experiences, the same good ones and bad ones, the same job, and being able to kind of go through it together, binds you together. But even more so at Silver Dollar City. Silver Dollar City, because it's a smaller park, there's not as many employees, and you really get to know each other. And if you're at some of the employee functions, and even just something as simple as hanging around eating breakfast in the mornings, you really get to know each other, and it becomes almost like a big family. It's why, even though it's been a few years since I've been to Silver Dollar City working, if I show up, there's still a bunch of people I know, and my wife almost feels awkward because I have to go by and say hi to all my friends who are still there. It's this network that you build around you, and you support each other, and really develop some deep friendships. I have to admit, I missed that out at the park. I really enjoyed that part. One of the best parts, though, for me, and this will sound a little weird to some of you, was how it played to my personality by escaping into a different world. One of the things that people have a hard time believing about me is that I'm not this huge extrovert. And I am what I like to kind of call an extroverted introvert. Really, my personality as a whole is I prefer to be the one sitting in the corner, hiding, not talking to people. I like watching what's going on and not necessarily being a part of it. There's actually a picture in my high school yearbook that shows me sitting at this big, huge rally, and I'm sitting all by myself, and there's this circle of space around me. Nobody's even sitting by me. So I've always been a little bit of a loner. Something I learned early on, even in high school, was stepping into a different world as a different person. I learned in drama that I loved being somebody else who wasn't me. I really enjoy stepping out on stage, doing a play, or doing other things like that. And working at a theme park kind of plays to that a little bit. It means when I'm working, I'm not me. I'm somebody else who's fitting into this bigger play. The whole idea of Disney having cast members fit me perfectly. Because when I stepped out to do a role in the park, I was no longer George. I was this role that I was playing. I was a Disney cast member. I was a photographer in the Magic Kingdom, helping people have incredible experiences. The normal, awkward, shy, very self-conscious me actually got to be set aside because it wasn't me doing it. It was a whole different personality. I'm not a train conductor. I'm certainly not a train robber. But at Silver Dollar City, I was able to be kind of this guy out of the Old West on the train with a gun and protecting my passengers. And I had this whole role to play. If I was in the woods as a train robber, I was a goofy, dumb hillbilly. It wasn't me, I was Alfie or Ralphie. And it was just a blast to be able to step away and leave me behind and become something else. And when I do that, I have no problem stepping in front of people. It's kind of a weird thing because at the end of the day, after I played this role all day, I'm mentally and emotionally exhausted. But at the same time, there's a deep satisfaction with knowing that I had fun and I helped make other people smile. It's a weird deal, but the theme parks really, really fit me well for that. Even as a simple photographer at Disney, I kind of built in my mind this whole role for me of who I was and what I was. And I wasn't this guy that was also youth pastoring, but I was somebody from kind of almost a different fantasy world. And I was helping bring people into this fantasy world, almost like a gatekeeper. I used to joke with people that when I was a photographer, I almost put on a little show if I was on the street, because I would be flamboyant and dramatic and get people so excited about the picture. That's not normally me. And so the theme parks really help bring that out and help make it a lot of fun for me. So then the big question is, would I go back and do it again? And the answer is a definite maybe. I would love to do it again. Absolutely. If I had the opportunity to fit perfectly, I would probably go in a heartbeat. But I don't know that I'm ever going to have that opportunity again. Being a pastor at a church, it means that I need Sundays off. And that doesn't work real good in the theme park industry. Because Sundays are a busy day. They need people there. So there's already a conflict there that prevents me from possibly going back. And I don't know that that's going to work out. Not just that. With me doing the videos now, it also creates a little bit of a conflict of interest. One of the things that parks don't want is they don't want their employees to go in and work a day and then turn around later on that night and start telling stories about the ridiculous guests or the bad experiences or what happened behind the scenes or maybe even some of the secrets. That's kind of a big no-no. It doesn't play well for the parks, and that's very understandable. I can do some of it now simply because there's been enough time with a lot of these experiences that the chances of me actually naming somebody specific or them recognizing it are very slim to none. But it's not something that you would want so quickly, and it could cause issues. So it would definitely create a conflict of interest with the park. And if I was working in a park, they probably wouldn't want me doing the videos. And I'll be honest, I have a blast doing the videos. It's a lot of fun. When it comes down to it, would I go back to working in a theme park again? Probably not the way I used to. I'm enjoying what's happening now. I'm enjoying the opportunities and experiences I get. I'm loving the opportunities to go to parks I haven't been to before because of the videos. And I love meeting all the fans. That has just been a great thing. So I think I'll probably stick with what I'm doing for right now. So that's what I miss about theme parks and whether I go back or not. Who knows? Time changes things, so you never know what might happen down the road either. Hope you enjoyed this little look back at my experiences and who I am and why I enjoyed it so much. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit the like, share, and comment below as well. Thank you so much too to my patrons. I appreciate all your support. I get asked a lot, are there... Okay. I get asked a lot, are there things that I miss about working at theme parks? The answer is yes. Still don't have that right. Well, the second question is a little more complicated, but let me answer the first one first. But let me... That was a weird noise. But for the most part, people are there to have fun. Oh, it's the train. Okay. Sitting there trying to get this out, and the train's going off in the background, and I'm going, what? That's where that one really bad clip of me doing I've Got Friends in Low Pace. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that button right there. If you'd like to see another great video of mine, there's a good one right there for you. And if you'd like to be like these wonderful people and support me on Patreon, hit that link right there. Thanks so much.